When I left St Andrews in '78, I finished fourth there, or 4 shots back to Jack, winning that one. I honestly said to myself, I can win an Open one day. Well, it took an awful lot of getting in there. I was in the mix at...
I only feared him. Those words have weight when they come from Sir Nick Faldo. The man who won 6 major championships is talking about someone special. Faldo just named the 5 toughest golfers in history. His list has one strict rule. Every player must have won all 4 major tournaments. This is called the Career Grand Slam. It is golf's hardest test. Only a few men have done it. Faldo made this list in 2025. That year changed everything. Rory McIlroy finally won the Masters. He became the 6th person ever to complete the Career Grand Slam. Faldo was so moved he cried watching it happen. This moment made him rethink who belongs among the greatest. What makes Faldo's opinion matter? He spent decades competing at the highest level. He was ranked #1 in the world. After his playing days ended, he became a top golf analyst. He has studied thousands of shots and matches. He knows what it takes to be tough under pressure. Faldo's list is not about popularity, it is about performance. He even ranked Rory ahead of himself. Why? Because Faldo never won the Career Grand Slam. He missed the US Open and PGA Championship. This shows how seriously he takes his own rule. No Grand Slam means you don't make the top 5. Period. So who are the 5 who passed golf's ultimate test? Let's count them down. At #1 sits Jack Nicklaus. The Golden Bear is golf's gold standard. He won 18 major championships. That record still stands today. But Faldo points to something even more amazing. Nicklaus finished in the top 3 at majors 53 times. He was runner-up 19 times. Think about that. He played about 150 majors. He finished top 3 in roughly 1/3 of them. This consistency is breathtaking. Most golfers would be thrilled with one top 3 finish at a major. Nicklaus did it 53 times. He didn't just win, he was always in contention, always fighting for the title, always making others beat him. This kind of sustained excellence defines true greatness. Nicklaus dominated for over 25 years. His first major win came in 1962. His last came in 1986 when he won the Masters at age 46. No one else has shown that kind of consistency for that long. Faldo says this longevity makes Nicklaus unbeatable. Even Tiger Woods can't match it. Faldo still leans toward Jack because of those 18 majors and that ridiculous number of high finishes. The Golden Bear played golf in a different way. He was strategic and patient. He knew when to attack and when to wait. His course management was brilliant. He rarely made big mistakes. This smart approach kept him competitive for decades. Younger players couldn't wear him down. He just kept coming back year after year. Nicklaus also won 73 PGA Tour events total. This shows he could win anywhere, not just at majors. He mastered different courses and conditions throughout his career. His ability to adapt and evolve kept him relevant across multiple generations of competitors. What separated Nicklaus was his mental game. He never panicked. He never gave up. Even when trailing, he believed he could win. This confidence intimidated opponents. They knew Jack could always mount a comeback. This psychological edge gave him countless victories. At #2 comes Tiger Woods. Tiger won 15 major championships. He also has 82 PGA Tour victories. That ties the all-time record. Tiger changed golf forever. He brought new levels of fitness and athleticism to the sport. He attracted millions of fans worldwide. His peak was higher than anyone's. Tiger held all 4 major titles at the same time from 2000 to 2001. People call it the Tiger Slam. He spent 683 weeks as the world's #1 player. That is a record. So why doesn't Tiger rank first? Faldo explains it this way. Tiger's career was shorter at the top. He faced more injuries, and every single shot Tiger ever hit was documented. The pressure of constant media attention was intense. Still, Tiger's dominance was so complete that he easily earns the 2nd spot. The media scrutiny Tiger faced was unlike anything before. Television cameras followed his every move. Millions watched online. Every mistake was analyzed endlessly. Every success was celebrated worldwide. This level of attention creates enormous pressure. Most players would crumble under it. Tiger thrived. He became even more focused when the spotlight was brightest. Tiger also revolutionized how golfers prepare. Before him, many players didn't focus much on fitness. Tiger changed that. He worked out like a professional athlete. He built strength and flexibility. Other players had to follow his example or fall behind. This transformation elevated the entire sport. His impact went beyond technique and fitness. Tiger brought diversity to golf. He inspired millions of young people who didn't see themselves in the sport before. He made golf cool and exciting. Tournaments became must-see events when Tiger played. His influence on the game's popularity cannot be measured. Tiger's winning percentage during his prime was staggering. When he held the lead after 3 rounds, he almost never lost. His closing ability was the best ever seen. He knew how to protect a lead and finish tournaments. This clutch performance defines championship golf. At #3 is Ben Hogan. Hogan won 9 major championships. He completed the career Grand Slam, but his story is about more than numbers. In 1949, Hogan nearly died in a car crash. Doctors said he might never walk again. He proved them wrong. After the accident, he won 6 more majors. This comeback defines toughness. Hogan suffered terrible injuries. His body was broken, but his mind stayed strong. He fought through pain and doubt. He rebuilt his game completely. Then he went out and beat everyone. This kind of mental strength is rare. Most people would have quit. Hogan became even better. Hogan was known for intense preparation and ruthless precision. He would mentally rehearse every shot before tournaments. Faldo once asked him what it took to win the US Open. Hogan's answer was simple: shoot the lowest score. That was his entire philosophy. Focus only on execution. Forget everything else. This mindset made him the toughest competitor of his era. Faldo deeply respects Hogan's mental discipline and stoic approach. Hogan practiced more than anyone. He hit balls for hours every day. He studied his swing obsessively. He tried to make every movement perfect. This dedication to detail separated him from other players. While they relaxed, Hogan worked. While they celebrated, Hogan practiced. His work ethic became legendary. People who watched Hogan play describe an intense focus. He seemed to enter a different mental state during competition. Nothing distracted him. Not crowds, not pressure, not opponents. He existed only to execute shots. This laser focus allowed him to perform under enormous pressure. Hogan also won 64 PGA Tour events. This shows his excellence extended beyond majors. He could win week after week against the best players. His consistency matched his major championship success. Everything about Hogan's career screams toughness and determination. At number 4 is Gary Player. Player also won 9 major championships and completed the career Grand Slam. He was the first non-American to do it. Player won 165 tournaments across 6 continents. He truly was a global champion. People called him Mr. Fitness because of his dedication to staying in shape. Player competed at a high level for 7 decades. His longevity rivals Nicklaus. He received a PGA Tour Lifetime Achievement Award for his contributions. Faldo values Player's international success. Faldo himself is European and believes greatness should be measured on a global scale. Player's ability to win everywhere makes him one of the true greats. Player understood that golf is a worldwide game. He didn't just compete in America, he traveled constantly. He won in Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, and South America. This global approach proved his versatility. Different courses, different climates, different competition. Player mastered them all. His fitness routine was ahead of its time. Player exercised daily. He watched his diet carefully. He believed physical health directly affected mental performance. Other players thought he was extreme, but Player kept winning into his 50s and 60s. His approach was proven correct. Player also became a wonderful ambassador for golf. He promoted the sport worldwide. He built golf courses on multiple continents. He encouraged young players from all backgrounds. His positive influence extended far beyond his own victories. Player won 24 PGA Tour events. While fewer than some others on this list, his global victory total of 165 proves his dominance. He didn't limit himself to one tour or one region. He conquered the world. At number 5 is Rory McIlroy. This is the newest and most interesting addition. McIlroy completed the career Grand Slam in 2025 by winning the Masters. He has only 5 major championships so far. That is fewer than Faldo's 6, but Faldo still ranks him higher. Why? Because Rory has 29 PGA Tour wins. Faldo only won 9, and Rory has the career Grand Slam. Faldo got emotional watching Rory's Masters victory. He understood the pressure Rory faced. For nearly 10 years, Rory tried to win that tournament. The weight of past failures was crushing. Faldo calls it scar tissue. Every close call left a mental mark. Rory had come close so many times. He would play well for 3 rounds, then struggle on Sunday. The pressure of needing that one specific tournament affected him. Everyone talked about it constantly. Every Masters became about whether this would be the year. That kind of attention makes winning even harder. But winning the Grand Slam changed everything. Faldo believes it shook the monkey off Rory's back. He thinks this win will set Rory free. Now, Rory can play without that burden. Faldo predicts Rory will win multiple more majors. At age 35, Rory is as fit as a fiddle. Modern training means he has at least 10 more supersonic years ahead. This ranking is about the future as much as the past. The physical workload Rory has put in is staggering. Faldo recognized this when he became teary watching the victory. He understood the years of technical work. Rory rebuilt parts of his game multiple times. He worked with different coaches, he tried different strategies, he never gave up. Now that burden is lifted, Rory can approach majors differently. He doesn't need the Masters anymore, he already has it. This mental freedom is powerful. Players often perform better after achieving a long-sought goal. The pressure disappears, they can play loose and aggressive. Faldo believes Rory will benefit enormously from this. Rory's 29 PGA Tour victories prove his consistency. He wins regularly against the best players in the world. This isn't just major championship success. This is week in, week out excellence. Combined with the career Grand Slam, it makes him worthy of this 5th spot. The career Grand Slam is Faldo's filter. It separates the good from the truly great. Many legends don't make this list because they never completed it. Arnold Palmer won 7 majors but missed the PGA Championship. Lee Trevino won 6 majors but never got the Grand Slam. Even Tom Watson with 8 majors is left out. Popularity doesn't matter here. Only complete mastery does. Palmer was incredibly popular. He had charisma and charm. Fans loved him, but he couldn't win that PGA Championship. This one missing piece keeps him off the list. It shows how difficult the Grand Slam truly is. Even the greatest players often fall short. Gene Sarazen is the one exception. He won 7 majors and completed the career Grand Slam, but Faldo didn't include him. The reason is simple. Sarazen played in a completely different era. Faldo has hardly seen any footage of him playing. Without video evidence, Faldo can't judge his toughness fairly. So his list starts with the modern era. That means players from Nicklaus onward. This practical limitation makes sense. Comparing eras is always difficult. Equipment was different. Courses were different. Training methods were different. Without seeing someone play extensively, making judgments becomes guesswork. Faldo wants his rankings based on evidence he can actually evaluate. Faldo's ranking has 2 clear tiers. The first tier is Nicklaus and Woods. They set impossible standards of dominance. The second tier is Hogan, Player, and McIlroy. They earned their spots by completing the career Grand Slam. This achievement proves they could handle every type of course and every kind of pressure. The list celebrates resilience and mental strength. Nicklaus stayed great for 25 years. Tiger dominated despite constant scrutiny. Hogan overcame a near-fatal accident. Player conquered the world for 7 decades. And Rory finally broke through after years of heartbreak. Faldo's framework is a positive recognition of dedication. These 5 men passed golf's hardest test. They won on every stage. They handled every kind of pressure. The career Grand Slam isn't just about winning tournaments. It's about proving you can succeed anywhere against anyone. Faldo believes the Grand Slam separates the all-time greats from everyone else. It puts you in a different category. That's what he said about Rory's achievement. Winning all 4 majors means you've mastered every challenge golf can offer. Fast greens, slow greens, links courses, American courses, wind, rain, heat, every condition, every format. Only 6 men in history have done it. Rory's inclusion shows how dynamic this list can be. Faldo didn't just look at past accomplishments, he looked ahead. He sees Rory winning many more majors now that the mental burden is gone. This isn't a final career ranking, it's a living assessment. Rory could rise higher if he keeps winning. Could Rory pass Hogan or Player? Absolutely. Both have 9 majors, Rory has 5, but he has at least 10 years left at peak fitness. If he wins 4 more majors, he ties them. If he wins 5 more, he passes them. Faldo thinks this is possible, maybe even likely. Rory now plays with freedom. That changes everything. This list isn't about fan favorites or legacy narratives. It's about surviving golf's greatest mental test. The career Grand Slam proves you have championship-level mental toughness. It proves you can win under any circumstances. That's what Faldo values most. His own career shows why this matters. Faldo won 6 majors. He was world number 1. He rebuilt his swing and dedicated his life to golf. But he never got the Grand Slam. That missing piece bothers him. It's why he ranks Rory above himself. It's why he respects these 5 men so much. Faldo knows what it takes to compete at the highest level. He understands the sacrifice required, the hours of practice, the mental battles, the physical strain. He lived it himself. That experience makes his judgment credible and meaningful. Faldo's list confirms a simple truth. Greatness in golf requires complete mastery. You can't just be good on one type of course. You can't just peak for 1 year. You must win everywhere. You must stay great for years. And you must handle massive pressure. All 5 men on this list did exactly that. Nicklaus for 25 years, Tiger for 15, Hogan even after a horrible accident, they're across 6 continents in 7 decades, and now Rory, who carried 10 years of heartbreak and still broke through. The career Grand Slam is golf's ultimate badge. Only 6 men have earned it. 5 of them sit on Faldo's list. Sarazen is left off only because his era is too distant to fairly judge. The other 5 belong. Their achievements speak for themselves. Faldo ends with a prediction. He believes Rory will win more majors, many more. The Grand Slam win removed his mental chains. Now he can chase Hogan and Player, maybe even Tiger. Faldo sees another decade of dominance ahead. Rory is fit, talented, and finally free. The future looks bright for McIlroy. His game is in great shape, his body is healthy, his mind is clear. All the pieces are in place for sustained success. Faldo recognizes this potential and factored it into his ranking. This list celebrates golf's toughest competitors. It honors those who never quit, those who won on every stage, those who passed every test. Nicklaus, Woods, Hogan, Player, and McIlroy. 5 names, 5 career Grand Slams, 5 legends who proved they were truly the toughest.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity to get myself involved. World number one is something special for me, and I had so many critics when I was younger of not being tall enough, being big enough.
Ian Woosnam faced some of the toughest golfers in history, but his story isn't about who hit the longest drives or won the most majors. It's about something far more impressive. Standing at just 5 feet 4 inches tall, Woosnam became part of an elite group called the Big Five, a collection of European golfers who completely changed professional golf in the late 1970s and 1980s. This group included legends like Seve Ballesteros, Nick Faldo, Bernhard Langer, and Sandy Lyle. All 5 were born within 12 months of each other, and all won at least one major championship. But here's what made Woosnam special. Despite having fewer major wins than some of his rivals, he reached the #1 spot in the world rankings on April 7th, 1991, and stayed there for 50 weeks. How did he pull that off? The answer lies in his relentless consistency and the fierce rivalries that pushed him to his absolute limits. Woosnam's path to the top was paved with 29 European Tour victories, placing him 6th on the all-time list for that tour. His powerful playing style, often called bomb and gouge, made him a force to be reckoned with despite his height. The ranking system back then rewarded players who performed at a high level week after week, tournament after tournament. Woosnam delivered exactly that. He won the European Tour Order of Merit twice, earning the Harry Vardon Trophy in both 1987 and 1990. These weren't lucky seasons. They were the result of beating top players consistently across an entire year. His 52 professional titles tell the story of a player who showed up ready to compete every single time. This consistency separated him from many of his peers and made him the statistical engine of the Big Five revolution. But reaching #1 and staying there meant facing down some incredibly tough opponents. The first and most dramatic rivalry came at the 1991 Masters tournament. Woosnam entered Augusta National in incredible form, fresh off winning the 1990 Order of Merit. His opponent in the final stretch was José María Olazábal, a talented Spanish golfer who would go on to become a major champion himself. The two players were tied coming into the final hole, creating one of the most tense moments in Masters history. The 18th hole at Augusta is where champions are made or broken. Olazábal hit his tee shot into the trees, a crucial mistake at the worst possible time. That error gave Woosnam the opening he needed. He capitalized on the moment and won by a single stroke, claiming his green jacket and immediately ascending to the world #1 ranking. If you're enjoying this deep dive into one of golf's most consistent champions, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. What do you think separated Woosnam from other players during his era? Was it his power, his mental game, or something else entirely? Let us know your thoughts. The battle with Olazábal wasn't just about one tournament. Their rivalry extended across the European circuit throughout this period. Olazábal found himself chasing Woosnam repeatedly. He finished 3rd behind Woosnam and Mark McNulty in the 1990 Order of Merit race. Beyond that, Olazábal was listed as a runner-up to Woosnam multiple times around the Masters period, including losses in March 1991 and July 1991. This pattern shows that their competitive relationship was ongoing, with Woosnam consistently holding the edge during his peak years of 1990 and 1991. The Masters victory was the crowning moment, but it was built on a foundation of regularly outperforming Olazábal when it mattered most. What made this rivalry particularly intense was the quality of competition they brought to every encounter. Olazábal was no ordinary opponent. He would eventually become a 2-time Masters champion himself, proving that the players Woosnam defeated were among the absolute best in the world. The fact that Woosnam could maintain such consistent superiority over someone of Olazábal's caliber during this period speaks volumes about his mental toughness and ability to deliver under pressure. While the rivalry with Olazábal centered on major championship glory and specific tournament victories, Woosnam faced a completely different kind of challenge from Mark McNulty. The Zimbabwean player became Woosnam's shadow throughout the late 1980s, constantly finishing second in the races that defined season-long dominance. McNulty was runner-up to Woosnam in the European Tour Order of Merit not once but twice in 1987 and 1990. In 1987, Woosnam claimed the title with earnings of 250,17, while McNulty finished with 189,304. The gap was significant, but McNulty never stopped pushing. By 1990, the contest became even tighter and more intense. Woosnam won the Order of Merit with 574 barely ahead of McNulty's 507,541. That's the kind of pressure that defines a season. Every tournament mattered, every round counted. One bad week could have cost Woosnam the title. McNulty also finished as runner-up to Woosnam in specific tournament victories, including the 1987 Suntory World Match Play Championship and events in September 1987 and September 1990. This rivalry proved that Woosnam's success wasn't about getting hot for a few weeks. It was about maintaining excellence over months and months of competition. McNulty kept showing up, kept challenging, and kept falling just short. That's what made Woosnam's achievement so impressive. He had to beat quality opposition every single week to maintain his position at the top. A decade after his Masters victory, Woosnam proved that his competitive fire hadn't dimmed. In October 2001, he faced Padraig Harrington in the World Match Play Championship final at Wentworth. Harrington represented the next generation of European golf talent, a player who would go on to win multiple majors himself. The quality of golf in that final was exceptional. The match featured a combined total of 21 birdies, with Harrington tying the European Tour best with 12 birdies in a single round. Despite facing a younger opponent playing at an incredibly high level, Woosnam found a way to win. This victory meant more than just another trophy. At age 43, Woosnam became the oldest World Match Play champion in history. He also became the first British player to win the title 3 times, having previously won in 1987 and 1990. Even more remarkably, he became the first golfer to win the championship in 3 different decades. These records showcase something special about Woosnam's game. He maintained his ability to perform under pressure for over 20 years at the highest level. The McNulty rivalry proved his season-long consistency. The Harrington match proved his lasting competitive edge and mental strength against a major champion from the next era. His dedication to staying sharp and competitive allowed him to achieve things that most players can only dream about. When you look at the Big Five as a whole, Woosnam's place becomes even more interesting. Ballesteros won 5 majors and held the #1 ranking for 61 weeks. Faldo won 6 majors and stayed #1 for 97 weeks, the longest of the group. Langer and Lyle each won 2 majors, though Lyle never reached #1 despite his success. Woosnam's single major victory looks modest in comparison. But his 50 weeks at #1 and his 29 European Tour wins tell a different story. He was the most relentlessly consistent high-volume winner of his generation. While others focused on peaking for the majors, Woosnam brought championship-level golf to every event he entered. That's how he built the statistical foundation to reach and hold the top ranking for so long. The contrast between Woosnam and Faldo particularly highlights different paths to greatness. Faldo employed a meticulous, methodical approach aimed squarely at major championships. His preparation was legendary, and the results spoke for themselves with 6 major titles. Woosnam took the opposite approach. His aggressive bomb and gouge style prioritized sustained scoring across the entire European Tour schedule. Where Faldo concentrated his energy on 4 tournaments per year, Woosnam spread his excellence across dozens of events. Both strategies led to world #1 rankings, proving there's no single formula for reaching the top. Woosnam's ability to maintain peak performance across so many tournaments throughout multiple seasons required a different kind of stamina and consistency. His competitive fire never seemed to dim, regardless of the tournament's prestige level. His influence extended beyond his playing career. In 2006, Woosnam took on the role of European Ryder Cup captain. He led his team to an 18.5 to 9.5 victory over the United States, equaling Europe's record-winning margin. This wasn't just about having talented players. Woosnam brought strategic thinking to the role, making smart captain's picks like Lee Westwood and Darren Clarke. He also used advanced mental conditioning techniques, including the HeartMath M-Wave personal stress reliever technology, to manage the psychological pressure of captaincy. Having experienced the mental demands of high-stakes competition throughout his career, particularly in matches like the 2001 victory over Harrington, Woosnam understood how to help his team maintain composure and competitive edge. His own playing experience as a member of 8 consecutive Ryder Cup teams from 1983 to 1997 gave him unique insights into what players needed from their captain. He knew the pressure, understood the format, and had lived through both victories and defeats wearing European colors. After turning 50, Woosnam successfully transitioned to senior golf. In 2008, he won Rookie of the Year honors on the European Senior Tour and claimed the Order of Merit title the same year. He added 2 tournament victories that season and has since collected 3 more senior wins for a total of 5 European Senior Tour victories. He even ventured into golf course design, co-designing the International near Amsterdam. In a perfect demonstration of his expertise, Woosnam won the Dutch Senior Open at the International in 2014, using his intimate knowledge of the course layout to build a 5-stroke lead. The course itself showcased Woosnam's understanding of strategic golf design, featuring height differences of up to 14 meters and complex variations that challenged players in unique ways. One hole was extremely long without any bunkers, testing driving accuracy and distance control. Another was very short but surrounded by 8 bunkers, demanding precision over power. Woosnam's ability to navigate his own design and dominate the field by 5 strokes demonstrated that his golf knowledge extended far beyond just playing the game. He understood course architecture, strategy, and how to create challenges that separated great players from good ones. He was inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame in 2017, cementing his legacy among the game's all-time greats. Ian Woosnam's career proves that greatness in golf isn't measured by major championships alone. His 50 weeks as world number one stand as a testament to his week-in, week-out excellence. The rivalries with Olazabal, McNulty, and Harrington pushed him to deliver his best golf across different stages of his career. From dramatic major championship duels to season-long grinding battles to proving his longevity against younger opponents, Woosnam faced every challenge and came out on top. As both a player, competitor, and later as a leader, he shaped European golf's rise to global dominance. His recognition as an officer of the Order of the British Empire in 2007 and his World Golf Hall of Fame induction in 2017 formalized what the golf world already knew. Woosnam was one of the true greats of his era. Before you go, make sure to like this video and share your favorite Woosnam moment in the comments. His story deserves to be remembered.
He said, "No, you will know when it's time to quit. It's totally up to you. And it is time to quit. I'm just not competitive on this course anymore. We're playing, 7,500 plus?"
When a flood of angry fans called him a cheater on social media, Bernhard Langer probably knew what was coming. At the 2024 PNC Championship, his team beat Tiger Woods and his son Charlie in a playoff. But it was not the victory that sparked outrage. It was how he won. People accused him of gaining unfair advantages because he played from forward tees and placed his ball on a mound of sand in what looked like teeing it up on the fairway. The internet exploded with claims that he bent the rules to beat one of golf's biggest names. But while a new group of fans saw a man bending the rules, how do the legends who battled him for decades actually see him? Bernhard Langer's career is defined by the toughest players he faced, and their stories paint a very different picture. To understand Langer, you need to go back to the 1980s. That was when European golf finally stood up to America. A group called the Big Five changed everything. Seve Ballesteros, Langer, Nick Faldo, Sandy Lyle, and Ian Woosnam were all born within 11 months of each other. Together, they won 16 major championships between 1979 and 1996. They proved Europe could compete with the best. At the center of this movement was the rivalry between Langer and Ballesteros. Langer called them opposites in many ways. Sev was the charismatic showman, full of flair and passion. Langer was the quiet technician who kept his feelings hidden. Their styles were completely different, like fire and ice. But beneath the rivalry was a deep respect. Both came from humble backgrounds in countries where golf was seen as a sport for the rich. They fought their way to the top without the help of an amateur career. One story shows how their rivalry was not just about competition. In 1980, Langer was struggling badly with his putting. Seve walked up to him on a practice green, grabbed his putter, hit a few shots, and said bluntly, "Terrible, terrible." When Langer asked what he meant, Seve explained that the putter was too light and did not have enough loft. Langer, who battled the yips 4 different times in his career, later said this advice might have saved him. He questioned if he would have ever won a tournament without it. This moment shows that their rivalry had a supportive side. Sev wanted to beat Langer, but he also wanted him to be at his best. Their battles on the course were legendary. The peak came over 12 months in 1984 and 1985. At the 1984 Open Championship at St. Andrews, the two were paired together in the final round. Sev won with his famous fist pump on the 18th green. Langer finished second. 9 months later at the 1985 Masters, it happened again. They were paired in the second-to-last group on Sunday. This time, Langer played a brilliant final round. He made key birdies on the back 9 and won his first green jacket. Seve finished as a runner-up, 2 strokes behind. But their rivalry was about more than personal glory. They shared a bigger mission. They wanted to bring European golf to the world stage. Langer said that on the first tee of that final round at the 1985 Masters, he and Seve wished each other luck. They talked about their desire to bring the green jacket back to Europe. They saw themselves as ambassadors for a continent that wanted to prove it belonged. This mindset fueled their performances and was key to Europe's success in the Ryder Cup. This moment of sportsmanship between rivals is a classic. Who do you think was the better player in their prime, Langer or Seve? Let us know in the comments below, and if you love stories like this, make sure you subscribe so you do not miss our next deep dive. The Langer-Ballesteros rivalry did more than entertain fans. It inspired other European players. Langer said that watching Seve win majors gave him confidence. He knew he had beaten Seve before, so if Seve could win majors, then he should be winning them too. Their rivalry showed that Americans could be defeated. It opened the door for the major wins of Faldo, Lyle, and Woosnam that followed. Now let's talk about Langer's rivalry with Hale Irwin. This one is different. It is a 2-act drama that played out over decades. The first act was a single, devastating moment of failure. The second was a 16-year marathon that ended in redemption. Act 1 happened at the 1991 Ryder Cup at Kiawah Island. The event was called The War by the Shore. It took place shortly after the Gulf War, and the atmosphere was intense. Some Europeans felt the American patriotism crossed a line. The entire competition came down to the final match between Langer and Irwin. The United States led 14-13. The match reached the 18th hole all square. A win for Langer would tie the overall score at 14-14, which would let Europe keep the cup as the defending champions. The pressure was massive. On the final green, Irwin made a sloppy bogey. That left Langer with a 6-foot par putt to win the match and keep the trophy for Europe. The putt has been called the single most memorable shot in Ryder Cup history. It grazed the edge but did not fall. The miss gave the U.S. a 14.5-13.5 victory, their first in 8 years. Celebrations erupted on the shoreline. The moment crushed Langer. In the locker room afterward, a tearful Seve Ballesteros hugged him and said, "No one should ever have to make that kind of putt." 16 years later, the second act began. This time, it was not about a single moment. It was a long chase. On the PGA Tour Champions, Hale Irwin had set the record with 45 career victories. Most people thought that record could never be broken. Irwin won his 45th and final title in January 2007. 9 months later, in October 2007, Langer won his first senior title. He had no idea he was starting a historic chase. Over the next decade and a half, Langer chased Irwin's record with incredible consistency. He won at least one tournament in each of his 16 seasons on the tour. At one point, he won multiple tournaments for 11 straight years. The chase ended in February 2023 when Langer won the Chubb Classic to tie Irwin at 45 victories. 5 months later, he broke the record with his 46th win at the U.S. Senior Open. This time, the mood was completely different from 1991. Irwin publicly praised Langer's pursuit as amazing. Langer said he was deeply honored to tie a great man like Irwin. The chase was more than just about numbers. It was redemption. The missed putt in 1991 had unfairly labeled him in some people's eyes as a player who failed under pressure. By chasing down and passing the all-time wins record held by the very man who was his opponent in that moment of failure, Langer wrote the ultimate response. The excellence and mental strength needed to win 46 times over 16 years proved beyond any doubt the quality that was once questioned. He rewrote the ending to their story. Now let's go back to the controversies. Langer's later career has been marked by 2 debates. Both involve his careful interpretation of the rules. In each case, Langer operated within the letter of the law, but critics argue he violated the spirit of the game. The first controversy is about his putting technique. In January 2016, golf banned anchoring a putter against the body. The rule targeted players like Langer, who used long putters for stability. Langer adapted. He still uses a long putter, but he holds the top of the grip slightly away from his chest. The rule says the stroke is legal if there is intent to keep it detached, and no physical contact happens during the stroke. Langer and tour officials have said repeatedly that his method is legal because he intentionally keeps the putter away, even if only by a tiny amount. However, the technique has drawn criticism. Golf Channel analyst Brandel Chambly has argued that while it may be technically legal, the stroke is not above reproach and violates the spirit of the rule. Critics say the method looks so much like the banned action that it gives the same stabilizing benefit the rule tried to eliminate. Some video clips seem to show contact, while others do not. Langer has defended himself strongly. He says he is a man of integrity who would never knowingly break a rule. He points out that he has talked to USGA and PGA Tour Champions officials who have cleared his stroke. He also suggests the scrutiny comes from jealousy. He said, "If I was number 180 on the money list, I do not think anybody would be talking about it." Now, let's revisit the PNC Championship incident from the beginning. With full context, the cheating accusations fall apart. First, the forwards tees. The 67-year-old Langer was allowed to play from a tee box that gave him a significant distance advantage. He played roughly 1,100 yards shorter than Tiger Woods over the tournament. This led to widespread criticism on social media. Many fans called it unfair for a player still winning on the Champions Tour. But here is the truth. Using forward tees was explicitly allowed by the event's age-based rules. It was not cheating. It was following the format. Second, the sandy area incident. On the 14th hole, a drive landed in a sandy spot. The scramble format allowed Team Langer to place their ball within 1 club length. They legally placed it on top of a small mound of sand, which let Bernhard hit a driver from a perfect lie. While this was 100% compliant with the rules for scramble, images of the shot went viral. Many uninformed people accused him of cheating. PGA Tour Champions officials quickly confirmed that Langer was in complete compliance with the rules and that no rule was broken. This controversy was not really about what Langer did. It was about the Tiger effect. Langer's actions were entirely within the rules of the exhibition, but because his opponent was the globally famous Tiger Woods, his every move was examined on a huge scale. As one writer put it, if Team Langer had beaten Team Duval in a playoff, absolutely 0 people would have batted an eye at this. The fact it was Team Woods had folks examining every move Langer made. The incident shows how celebrity can turn a minor rule situation in a fun event into a major public debate about fairness and integrity. Langer's mistake, in the eyes of many, was not cheating. It was winning against against a legend in a way that looked advantageous to a huge audience who did not understand the format. Bernhard Langer's legacy is one of precision, perseverance, and controversy. His career is a masterclass in getting the most out of his talent through careful preparation, understanding the rules completely, and pushing through technical struggles, public failure, and intense criticism. His 2 Masters titles, his time as world number 1, and his unmatched senior tour dominance make him one of a kind. He is a champion whose career shows what happens when elite performance, complex rules, and public opinion all collide. Bernhard Langer's story is one of the most complex in golf. Do you think he is the most underrated champion in the sport's history? Let us know your thoughts and give this video a like if you enjoyed this story. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. He's the best ever. That's what people said about Fuzzy Zoeller's sportsmanship back in 1984 at Winged Foot. Picture this, the 72nd hole of the US Open. Greg Norman just sank an impossible 45-foot putt to tie for the lead. Fuzzy, standing in the fairway, grabbed a white towel from his bag and waved it like a flag of surrender. The crowd loved it. The cameras loved it. Everyone called him the beloved showman of the PGA Tour, a guy who played with a whistle on his lips and a joke ready to go. But 13 years later, there was a second moment, one that would define him differently. It was 1997. Tiger Woods had just won the Masters in historic fashion, and Fuzzy, speaking to a CNN camera, called Woods "that little boy" and made comments about fried chicken and collard greens at the champion's dinner. These 2 moments are not opposite sides of his story. They are the same coin. His biggest strength, that unfiltered personality everyone loved, was actually a ticking time bomb. This is the story of how the court jester became the cautionary tale. Let's talk about the toughest players Fuzzy ever faced. But here's the thing. They weren't just tough because they beat him on the course. They were tough because they exposed who he really was. First up, Greg Norman. That white towel moment at the 1984 US Open, it wasn't quite what it seemed. Fuzzy thought Norman's putt was for birdie to win the championship. It was only for par to tie. So when he waved that towel, it was a mistake wrapped in showmanship. He believed the tournament was over. The gesture was spontaneous, sure, but it came from his need to be the center of attention. Always the entertainer, always performing. The media celebrated this moment as the height of class and respect between competitors, but look closer and you see something else. You see a player who valued the performance as much as the competition itself. Fuzzy had built his entire brand around being likable, around being the guy who could make you smile even when he was beating you. This wasn't just about golf for him. It was about being remembered as the fun guy, the approachable champion, the everyman with a whistle and a wink. But that need for attention, that desire to always get the laugh, to always be in the spotlight even in someone else's moment, that was the foundation of everything that would come later. The next day's playoff told the real story. This wasn't a battle, it was a beatdown. Fuzzy shot 67, one of the lowest scores ever in a US Open playoff. Norman never had a chance. Fuzzy won by 8 strokes. Norman waved his own white towel back at the end, playing along with the joke. But what did that moment really show? It cemented Fuzzy's role as the tour's funny man, the guy who cared as much about getting laughs as getting trophies. Being the court jester became part of his identity, and the tour let him be that way. Nobody stopped him. Nobody said maybe you should think before you speak. They just laughed along. The PGA Tour in the 1980s was a different world. It was a place where this kind of personality was not just accepted, but celebrated. Fuzzy became the soundtrack of tournament rounds, literally whistling his way down fairways while other players ground through their shots in silence. He was the antidote to the buttoned-up country club atmosphere that golf had always represented. Fans loved him because he seemed real, unpolished, genuine, but there's a difference between being genuine and being unfiltered. One is authentic, the other is dangerous. Fuzzy never learned that difference, and the tour never taught him. His victory at Winged Foot came after he had already proven himself as a champion. He'd won the 1979 Masters as a tournament rookie, one of only 3 men in history to accomplish that feat. That Masters win came after Ed Snead collapsed on the final 3 holes, bogeying 16, 17, and 18 to fall into a playoff. Fuzzy then won on the second playoff hole with a birdie, flinging his putter into the air in celebration. It was an improbable victory built on staying steady while others crumbled. Now let's talk about Craig Stadler. This wasn't even a rivalry, it was just Fuzzy being Fuzzy. He would constantly heckle Stadler, making him his favorite target for jokes. One time he mocked his shoes, saying, "Nice clods, Stadler. Did you get those at a Buster Brown fire sale?" The crowd ate it up. Everyone thought it was harmless fun, just guys being guys on the tour. But think about what this really was. This kind of behavior made Fuzzy a gallery favorite, but it also showed a pattern. A man who loved to poke at others without thinking about consequences. When you aim your jokes at the walrus and everyone laughs, you start to think you can say anything to anyone. It was all fun and games when the target was Stadler, but this habit of speaking without a filter, it was building up to something bigger. The tour enabled this behavior. They let him be the unfiltered joker without any any guardrails. The relationship between Fuzzy and Stadler became a running gag that fans looked forward to. People would actually wait to see what Fuzzy would say next, what cutting remark he'd make about Stadler's appearance or his game or his equipment. It was like a comedy routine that played out over years on golf courses across America, and every time the crowd laughed, every time a fellow player chuckled and shook his head, it reinforced the idea that this was okay, that this was just Fuzzy being Fuzzy. Nobody considered that maybe constant mockery, even when delivered with a smile, was creating an environment where boundaries didn't exist. Was this really harmless ribbing, or was it creating a culture where someone could say whatever popped into their head? What do you think? Is this kind of constant heckling just part of the game, or does it create problems down the line? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're enjoying this look at golf's forgotten controversies, hit that subscribe button. We've got more stories the PGA Tour would rather you forget. The third tough opponent, Seve Ballesteros. But Seve didn't beat Fuzzy through competition. He humbled him by showing what greatness actually looks like. This was the 1983 Ryder Cup, the lead singles match. They were all square on the 18th hole. Seve's second shot landed in a fairway bunker, 245 yards from the green. The ball sat on an upslope, inches from a high lip. Water guarded the front of the green. Any smart player would lay up, but Seve wasn't any player. He pulled out a 3-wood and hit one of the most impossible shots in golf history. The ball cleared the lip and landed on the fringe of the green. The shot was so early in the day that television cameras missed it, but everyone who saw it remembers. Jack Nicklaus called it the greatest shot he ever saw. Bernhard Langer said it was the most miraculous shot he'd ever seen. And what did Fuzzy do? He just watched. He could only stand there in disbelief as Seve pulled off something miraculous. Both players made par. The match was halved. Fuzzy didn't win. He just survived. Seve showed him what real talent looked like when pressure mattered most. This moment revealed something important about Fuzzy's career. He was an excellent player, a major champion twice over, but he was never the transcendent talent. He won his Masters as a rookie when Ed Snead collapsed down the stretch. He won his U.S. Open by dominating Norman in a playoff after they tied. His victories came from being steady when others fell apart, from capitalizing on mistakes, from being clutch in the moment but not dominant over 4 days. Against Sev, he was simply outclassed. He was a witness to genius rather than a participant in it, and maybe that's part of why the Joker persona mattered so much to him. He couldn't be the greatest player, he could be the most memorable personality. He could be the guy everyone remembered for making them smile, for keeping things light, for being approachable when other champions seemed distant and cold. But personality can only carry you so far, and it can turn on you in an instant when the world changes around you. Then came Tiger Woods. This was the opponent Fuzzy's whole personality was unprepared for. This is where the Joker became infamous. The 1997 Masters was more than a golf tournament. It was a cultural moment. Tiger, just 21 years old, became the first person of African-American heritage to win a major championship. He destroyed the field by 12 strokes. The golf world was celebrating a new era. This wasn't just about golf scores. This was about breaking down barriers in a sport that had been closed off to people of color for its entire history. Augusta National, the home of the Masters, hadn't even allowed black members until 1990. Now, 7 years later, a young black man was dominating their course and winning their tournament in record fashion. The significance was impossible to overstate. And what did Fuzzy do? After finishing his round with a score of 78, tying for 34th place, he talked to CNN. He called Tiger that little boy and said someone should tell him not to serve fried chicken next year, or collard greens or whatever the hell they serve at the champions dinner. These weren't innocent comments. They were loaded with racist stereotypes, and they were immediately condemned everywhere. The little boy comment alone was dismissive and demeaning, using language that has historically been used to diminish and infantilize black men. But here's what made it worse. CNN didn't air the footage right away. They waited a week to broadcast it on their Pro Golf Weekly show. Other reporters who heard the comments also stayed quiet. That delay was critical. By the time the clip aired, Tiger's historic victory had already been celebrated. The story was settled. So when the comments finally came out, they exploded like a bomb in a quiet room. The delay turned an off-the-cuff remark into a pre-packaged scandal. It removed any immediate context and presented the words in their most damaging form. The damage was catastrophic. Fuzzy started a desperate campaign to save his reputation. First, he claimed his words were just a joke that got misunderstood. Then he went on television, looking exhausted and upset, to apologize again. He even withdrew from the next tournament in tears, telling reporters, "I am the one who screwed up and I will pay the price." And he did pay. Kmart, his main sponsor for 7 years, dropped him immediately. Just one day after the comments aired, they were done with him. This wasn't a small loss. Kmart had been his primary source of endorsement income, and losing them meant losing financial stability. Other players tried to defend him. Davis Love III called him a big kidder who didn't mean harm, but Tom Lehman was more honest. He said, "It wasn't the best timing, and it wasn't in good taste." That's putting it mildly. This wasn't just bad timing. It was a player from the old guard colliding with a new world he didn't understand. The PGA Tour that Fuzzy had known for 2 decades was changing. Tiger represented not just a new level of athletic excellence, but a new demographic, a new audience, a new era where the sport couldn't hide behind its exclusionary past. And Fuzzy, with his folksy humor and his unfiltered unfiltered mouth, couldn't adapt fast enough. His entire career had been built on saying whatever came to mind, on being the guy who made everyone laugh without worrying about who might be listening or how his words might land in a changing world. Tiger's response was perfect. He called the remarks out of bounds, but accepted the apology. He said he knew Fuzzy was a jokester and concluded there was no personal hatred intended. He said everyone makes mistakes, and it was time to move on. Tiger came across as gracious and mature. That made it even harder for Fuzzy to escape blame. There was no way to spin this. The incident became a permanent stain on his career. The lovable jokester image was shattered. Everyone could see what happened when that unfiltered humor went too far. Years later, when Sergio Garcia made a similar fried chicken comment about Tiger in 2013, the Fuzzy incident was brought up again. It became the reference point for racist remarks in golf. Fuzzy's name would forever be attached to this controversy. No matter what he accomplished after that moment, no matter how many apologies he issued or how much time passed, that single interview would define him in the eyes of many. After 1997, Fuzzy's career on the PGA Tour started winding down, but he found a second chapter. In 2002, he joined the Champions Tour and had an immediate comeback. He won the 2002 Senior PGA Championship, his first victory in 16 years. On the senior circuit, he was a beloved figure again. Fans appreciated his relaxed style and that whistling personality that made him famous. He also won the 2004 MasterCard Championship and picked up team victories at the Wendy's Champion Skins game multiple times. On the Champions Tour, his relaxed, fan-friendly demeanor was once again a major draw, and he was often heard whistling his way down the fairways. The Senior Tour was more forgiving, more nostalgic, a place where fans remembered the good old days and were willing to overlook past controversies in favor of celebrating the legends of their youth. He also became a businessman. In 2009, he launched Fuzzy's Ultra Premium Vodka. He turned his personal brand into a product. The vodka business was a success. He monetized his name and reputation on his own terms. He didn't need corporate sponsors who worried about controversy. He went straight to fans who still loved his good old boy charm. This was financial rehabilitation his way. He proved he could still win, both on the course and in business. The vodka brand even sponsored entries in the IndyCar series, giving Fuzzy visibility in a completely different sport. He had found a way to remain relevant and profitable despite the permanent damage to his mainstream reputation. He also stayed involved in golf course design, with 19 courses bearing his name, some even used for PGA Tour events. So what's Fuzzy Zoeller's legacy? It's complicated. He's both the champion and the cautionary tale. He's the man who waved the white towel at Winged Foot in pure sportsmanship. He's also the man who made deeply offensive remarks in 1997 that he can never take back. His story is a reminder that public identity is fragile. One moment can change everything. His unfiltered personality was his greatest asset for 2 decades. Then it became the source of his downfall when the world changed around him. The lesson here is clear. What makes you beloved in one era can make you infamous in the next. Context matters. Words have weight, and the culture that enables certain behavior today might condemn it tomorrow. Fuzzy Zoeller's story shows us the complicated, undeniably human portrait of one of golf's most memorable characters. He won major championships, he made people laugh, and he said something he'll regret forever. That's his legacy, all of it together. So what do you think he should be remembered for most? The green jacket or the fried chicken comment? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.